With chants of Yalla, time to leave, this certainly looks like the end of Benjamin Netanyahu's 12 years in power, though he's been written off prematurely many times before. The coalition agreed last night is Israel's most diverse since 1948. From the left, a secular moderate, a hard-right nationalist and an Israeli Arab. 8 signatures representing 8 parties in all, with getting rid of Netanyahu arguably the only glue that binds them together. Yair Lapid is the moderate who struck the deal, but only just, phoning Israel's president just 38 minutes before the official deadline. A deal which makes the nationalist Naftali Bennett Prime Minister for the next 2 years. Bennett is a former leader of Jewish settlers who wants to annex most of the occupied West Bank. His coalition is so fragile that he won't be able to do that, and it's possible his party falls apart before he even becomes Prime Minister. A furious Mr Netanyahu has compared this new government with those of Syria and Iran. He's now trying to derail it by persuading right-wing MPs to defect before a confidence vote in Parliament. And last night, his supporters refused to believe the Netanyahu era really is over.
There won't be another government voted for in Parliament. Mark my words, they will fight with each other, so there won't be a new government.
Netanyahu will still try to form a government. We might find ourselves again in a new round of elections. So Israel is still in a political chaos. The game is not over yet.
Much will depend on this man, Mansour Abbas. He's head of the first Arab party to join an Israeli government. Though for how long? Israel is still reeling from last month's sectarian violence, and Mr Abbas may have to abandon ship if that violence returns or if conditions for Arabs fail to improve. In the West Bank, Palestinians know they won't get Israeli leaders to agree a state when they're either preoccupied with their own political survival or just don't care.
Bennett is no less extreme than Netanyahu. This is an internal issue for Israel and not necessarily one which benefits the Palestinians.
The architect of this coalition, Yair Lapid, is a former TV presenter. He's scheduled to take his turn as Prime Minister 2 years from now, if, that is, the government lasts that long. Whatever happens, Mr Netanyahu's trial on corruption charges could last years, and it hasn't stopped his party from remaining the biggest in Parliament. Yes, he's on the verge of losing power, but he has shifted Israel seemingly inexorably to the right, and this decidedly awkward alliance of his opponents can't count him out quite yet.